I'm going to start in the NBA right now. Two things on this. One of it mainly Blazer related, but did people see and like Marv Albert being back on NBC last night?
Gotta be honest with you, dude. I watched the entire Celtics-Sixer game.
Yeah.
I turned it on.
Oh, you missed the intro.
25 seconds before the game started, or after the game started, so I missed the intro of Marv Albert.
So it was Bob Costas the last couple of weeks who did the, like he used to for NBA on NBC. This was an East Conference game. It was set, as you mentioned, Philly and Boston rivalry, historic matchup in the NBA. And they had him he voiced the promo going into the game. And he had a couple of, he had a couple of those in there.
Yes!
Now, I was not watching, but I did see it online. So you can go, it's fun. Like, it's a fun nostalgia play. And they did a good job of, like, let's take 20 seconds to look at the history. And then he has but I'm more interested in what's happening tonight. And then he gets in, look at these guys, great night.
Did he sound super old?
He sounded super old, dude.
Well, the last year or two for him was a little like, Weber!
That's not Weber. Weber retired. We're working with Reggie. He's gone.
I love me some Marv, dude.
Who doesn't, man?
I love Marv Albert.
He bites him in the butt, and he's one of the all-time GOATs. So he was back on NBC last night. I wanted to get to a question on one Blazer, but before we do that...
It was a Blazer Bowl game last night. You had Ant Simons on the Celtics, and then you had Watford and Jabari on the Sixers.
Former Blazer crime is what you're telling me. Let me ask a question. So I saw this being reported. It's that thing in the NBA that we love to do. One team who has been a disaster early in the season, and not really a surprise, I think, to a lot of people. Their moves last year made no sense to me as a non-diehard basketball fan. And now I look at it and I'm like, yeah, that never really made sense and probably wasn't going to work. The Kings have been one of the worst teams in the NBA. They're 3-8.
Well, yeah, since they started lighting the beam, they've found a way to just absolutely destroy it.
They traded De'Aaron Fox last year and then thought, you know what we're going to do? We're still going to win with Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan. Let's get a bunch of old guys in here, and this is all going to pay out for us. Well, not so fast, my friend. They lost to the Nugs last night. I believe that was that the game last night?
Yeah, 122-108. Okay. Yeah.
So they're 3-8 on the year, and there was a report that came out the other day that just essentially said anybody on our roster is available. What do you want? And the Kings are now hitting the reset button for like the 27th time of my life because what they're doing is not working. I'm just going to ask the question. It could be a simple yes or no. It could be a long answer if you care for it to be a long answer. Is there anything there with Domantas Sabonis for Portland?
Well, I mean, like for other teams, yeah.
For Portland?
No.
Why not?
Well, it doesn't really... How are you making that work?
In a trade?
Yeah, but like, you're playing Klingan with Domantas Sabonis?
I mean, my thought would be you trade Donovan Clingan.
Oh, you're trading Klingan? I asked you that earlier as more of a joke, but you're out.
I mean, I'm not necessarily saying I'm
Breaking
out.
News.
What
Curtis
I would
out
ask is, do you feel like Donovan Clingan will ever be better than Domantas Sabonis?
Hard to say yes today to that one there, Andrew.
Would anybody out there be gambling on that? Now, we can debate where Sabonis fits, and he can be not very fun for me to watch sometimes when I do randomly turn on a Kings game, mainly the one time they were in the playoffs 2 years ago, because it's a lot of like, I'm just charging to the hoop and running through your chest, and there's not it's just not aesthetically pleasing.
So are you doing this for like a nostalgia, or are you legitimately
No, I'm just saying he's averaging 15 and 14 a game,
Yeah.
so it might not be aesthetically pleasing,
on
but
50% shooting from the field.
Klingan's bigger. You could say he's a better shot blocker. He maybe is a better defender. That's
So
fine.
you're already
I'm just
kinda-
asking the question of like, is there like, would you ever kick the tires on something like that? Are we married to Klingan because we drafted him and now we can't trade him?
The unfortunate thing is you don't get to do the 101. You have to have
No, it'd have to
money
be salary.
match you, right?
Salary would have to match.
I mean, married is a tough word to use here. I don't think the team is kicking around this idea whatsoever.
He's making a lot of money too, so there's that part of it. He signed a 4-year, 186 deal.
Yeah.
$42 million this year, $45.5 next year, $48.6 in the 27-28 season.
You would be acquiring in that situation a 2-time All-NBA and a 3-time All-Star.
Yeah.
Yes.
I just don't know that
Will Donovan Clingan ever be that?
No.
He's a 6'9" center that is pretty much working.
We play with a small ball lineup for half the game anyways.
Yeah, we do.
But he mostly operates in the paint. He doesn't.
What's Donovan Clingan? This is just the beginning question is this: how do we feel about Donovan Clingan right now? Is the main angle I'm trying to get at right now.
Yeah, Klingan's interesting. I brought him up to Richmond because I don't know how you watch Donovan, and it's very, very early. But how we're watching what Donovan's been so far, and a little bit of what he was last year as a rookie. And it's fun to react to the what did he have against the T-Wolves? Was it 5 or 8 blocks?
It was like 18, 16, and 5. Or are you talking opening night? Because he had
T-Wolf
one
game last year.
Yeah, he had the one game where it was like, oh my God, he dominated.
I think that's a fun thing to talk about. I think the reality is he has no offense to speak of.
None
and
at all.
It's a tough league to have a center play high volume minutes who operates 0 on the offensive end. I mean, when I watch any big man even contest or freak out about his pump fake at 3, I always ask, why?
Why would you jump in the air there?
I'd want him to shoot. I don't feel great. I mean, even his last game, I think his presence is an advantage defensively, but it's not like he's lighting the world on fire with blocks.
He's averaging fewer blocks per game than he did last year.
I know.
Now, it's not a big sample size, but he's playing more minutes, and it's gone from 1.6 to 1.3.
Yeah.
He's shooting 22% from 3, so the idea of like, hey, I'll space the floor a little bit, you were hoping that could be a threat, and he's sub 50% from the floor.
My thing is not so much about what he's doing in the perimeter. I didn't have an expectation for him to be good whatsoever to do that. It's more like, do you see any ounce of development offensively this year? And you have to unequivocally say no.
No, there's not been.
No reason to think there's going to be offense that suddenly emerges from that.
No.
And the tough thing with this league is if you offer no offense, you can be a fine role guy, but
you become a liability at times because you're not doing anything on one side of the floor.
Yeah, and especially the way people play now of more tempo, more push, like there's going to be a lot of games where it's tough for him to play.
And I think that's Rudy Gobert is one of the best defensive centers we've seen. Like he's a freak in the length and the blocking of shots. Even he is a liability for his team. For as good as he is defensively, there's times in the playoffs his team has had to sit him on the bench because they don't trust him being on the floor.
The Klingers,
certain lineups.
The Klinger's a little bit like our Trae Young, but the opposite, right? He's a big who is his entire thing is he can play defense. Yeah, and Trae Young can shoot. And then at the end of the games, what does the Hawks do? They sit Trae Young.
Yeah.
They sub for defense because they need more wings. They need more rangy guys.
They need guys who are taller and
guys
longer.
Who can play some form of defense to get a stop. And the Hawks have been fine without Trae Young so far through this stretch of injury. But yeah, he's kind of turning into our version of that, but the opposite.
Yeah, I'm certainly not giving. He's played 77 games in his NBA career. I'm certainly not giving up. I also think the organization sent a flare up when they drafted a center in the first round back-to-back years. And one of them being according to experts or draft analysts, an extreme reach of Young Hansen.
Most experts, that was a far and away, the experts said that was a massive reach. We cite the one guy who said he might be a first-round guy so we can feel good about ourselves, but largely the overwhelming majority was that was a big reach.
Yeah, they're still in a unique window right now of like Dame resigns and it's winning time now, and then the next press conference says, well, we don't want to put expectations on this. And I'm just asking questions aloud. I don't know how long his development is going to take. I think he's certainly a fine defensive center. He can grab some rebounds. He can block some shots. He affects some looks in the paint.
You talking about Donovan's offense now in terms of the development part?
I don't know where it's going to go, and I don't have high hopes of it turning into something that's going to be. I think the peak level you were thinking of, does this become a Lopez twin that can knock down threes for you? And he's big and he's lumbering and he doesn't move. You can't really keep anybody in front of him, but he's going to knock down open threes, so it'll maybe kind of wash out some of the liabilities he can have, defending on the perimeter. And I don't have very much hope that that's going to happen. He's still young, but if you're in winning time now and you just drafted another center the next year in the first round that is also a project that's going to take a while to develop, that's why I saw the Sabonis stuff, and I'm like, I wonder if there's anything there. But probably not salary-wise, because it's not an easy trade to pull off.
Well, also, the Kings are just... If you would have told... I don't know how old I was. When did they play the Lakers? 2002?
2002, I believe. 2002.
I remember watching one of those games at El Indios in Northeast Portland. If you would have told me in that moment the Kings were going to be what the Kings have become...
And not win a playoff series since...
I would not believe you.
Yeah.
Because that King team was awesome.
It's also a good reminder that even if you make the playoffs and you feel like the future's bright, it's not always the case. Because 2 years ago, the Kings were an up-and-coming team in the Western Conference lighting the beam, and now
Well, what is the peak offense of Donovan? I think that's the hardest thing that organization could not honestly answer.
Do you ever see him having a back-to-the-basket game?
You got to run plays for him. I don't think they run plays for him. I don't think that's how.
Should you run a play? Like, does he shown you that he's capable of handling plays?
If you go into high pick and rolls with him at the top of the key and he dives throwing lobs, I've seen that. He can finish.
You're going to be able to do that every possession? Teams are going to eventually go, they're doing the high pick and roll lob thing.
Well, then obviously you have options off of it. Depends on who the pick and roll is. I wonder what it will look like We all wonder what Dame looks like next year, because if you have Dame and he shows he can still fire from three and everybody has to roll up on a high pick and roll with Dame and you can roll Klingan, maybe you have something. I don't know.
Has this been what we expected? Did you guys come in with a different expectation of him?
No, I thought he's going to get half his points just crashing the glass and getting offensive rebounds and putbacks. That's going to be half his offense.
That's been a very underwhelming part of that.
He's averaging 8 and 8. 8 and 8 right now. Offensive rebounds a game. 4 of them are at 4.2 offensive, 4.6 defensive rebounds a game. So, yeah, it's probably what I expected. Look, I'm going to be fair to them, too. Like, that draft class sucked. That was not I can't remember who went after Klingan and if there's anybody that we missed on to the point of, like, a Scoot.
What is that, the Denny Avdia trade thing?
Yes.
Bub Carrington, right?
Yes. Bub Carrington would have been the other pick. We had 2 first-round picks. One of them we traded for Avdia. The other one we used on Klingan, if I'm correct on that.
Yeah.
And so
But we had Ayton when we drafted him. We did the back-to-back. We had a center, and and I'm not saying Ayton was the right choice.
I think they knew at the time that Ayton wasn't a part of the long-term future, so I wasn't mad at it then.
Certainly, but they did the back-to-back center thing, which...
And then they took another center.
Fun summer league, but still, like, I remember thinking... So, like, what's the peak of this?
Yeah, and it's not going to impact winning or losing at all this season. And so just asking the question aloud.